Greetings, geometry students. This is the key for the practice tests, and this video here deals with the true-false questions. A, if one region has less area than another, it must also have a smaller perimeter. You might think that to be true, but perhaps you recall there was a homework problem that had, I think if I remember right, it was a star inside of something like this. Inside of a square, and the star was shaded in, and they said which has a greater perimeter, which has a greater area, and all of you could see that the area was greater for the square because the star is inside the square with some 4 triangular areas left over. But then on the perimeter one, since this is a triangle, and I'll just demonstrate with one of them. This is a triangle here. The triangle inequality theorem applies to it. So that means that this side and this side, the sum of those two sides is greater than the third side, which is the side of the square. And that applies to all of these triangles here. And so therefore, because these two added up is greater than this one, and that goes all the way around, the perimeter has the greater of the star is greater than the perimeter of this square. So that's a long explanation of why that is false. Alright, then there's this one. 1 square yard is equal to 36 square inches. Everybody falls for that because you know there are 36 inches in a yard. But here's where a picture really helps. So if I've got a square, 1 square yard. So this is 1 yard. This is 1 yard. Well, 1 yard is 36 inches, right? So if I'm going to put that in inches, you know 1 yard times 1 yard is 1 yard squared. But I've got 36 times 36, so I don't have just 36, I've got 36 squared inches. So, and I'm sure you're all wondering how many square inches are in a yard then. So it would be this many square inches. 1,296. So it's a lot more than 36. Alright, so that's also false. Then each leg of a right triangle is also one of the triangle's bases. That's true. And remember how you find the area of a right triangle. Half the product of the legs. So the perimeter of a square is 4 times the length of its sides. Yeah, that's not a trick question. That's true. And triangles with equal altitudes and equal bases have equal areas. Of course they do, because we're using the same formula to figure out the area for both of them. 1/2 times base times height. So if the altitudes are equal, that's the same as the height, remember, and the bases are equal, you're going to get the same result. It's false, false, true, true, true. Alright, see you on the next one.